Are you a new parent who has a child with special needs or a child who's medically complex and requires special therapies and interventions? If so, in this video, I hope to help you by sharing the approach that I use to help find the best therapist for my daughter and for her care. So, the way I see it is many therapists are trained in the care that they provide, in the therapy and the intervention that they provide. And what I have found is that it takes a special type of person who is interested in trying new things, trying different approaches, reading, keeping up with the literature, keeping up with different modalities of therapy and different philosophies, and is willing to try and apply these new ideas and new approaches to their actual practice in the care that they provide for the child and the therapy that they provide for the child. So the best way to go about finding a therapist that is right for you is to actually take your child to see many different therapists. So think about it like a trial run. You're definitely allowed to kind of have many sessions with different therapists until you find the one that really fits for your child. And so not only are you going to observe how the therapist interacts with your child, but you're also going to be observing your child and how your child is receiving what the therapist is teaching and showing and practicing. And so the way I describe it is it's kind of like the vibe or the energy of the therapist, not only the strategies and the tactics and the tools and the principles that they're using, but also their tone of voice, their gentle touch, their kind and loving heart, their healing hands, all of these intangibles that only your child can perceive and only your child can sense. And only, it's these intangibles that welcome your child to putting down their barriers and trusting this therapist and making the child feel confident enough in themselves to try and to experiment and to push themselves. So one example is, we have this amazing therapist who uses songs when she's helping my child with her physical therapy. And so she uses melodies and she sings songs, and my daughter really responds well to that. So that's just one simple example. Sometimes, these intangible things you can't quite put a finger on, but all you can do is observe that your child is very receptive to the time that is spent interacting with this therapist. And there have been other therapists we've had where, some have been somewhat rigid in their approach and not willing to try new things. And, my daughter might have not really been receptive to the particular individual. And, so you try and you try, you give it a chance and, give it many tries. And eventually it's up to you to observe if it's working or not and to make the appropriate changes and, try different therapists out if you have access to many different therapists. The other important factor and what is described in the literature is really, it's about nervous system regulation, which is a favorite topic of mine. So when you are having a child or any individual in a therapy setting where it's going to be uncomfortable, you're going to be pushing yourself, pushing your boundaries, pushing your leading edge, you don't want your sympathetic system to be heightened. You don't want to be in fight or flight. You don't want to be on guard and feeling like you have to protect yourself. You want to be able to relax and feel safe and secure more of a parasympathetic state where you're open to receive information, input, where you're willing to kind of create and experiment and try and push yourself in different ways. And so this nervous system regulation is something that needs to take place in the therapy setting. So that can come about with a consistent therapist, for example, where the child feels like used to this person, familiar, a consistent environment, consistent sounds. Maybe it's music that is played during the therapy session, a consistent caregiver, someone that the child trusts, who's also available and present in the therapy session to help encourage the child, talk to the child, and make the child feel safe. This is similar to when you have neurotypical children who are trying new things and they're constantly looking at the parent to gauge if what they're doing is appropriate. So they're looking to the parent to see how, if what they're doing is right or wrong and how it's being perceived. And so this comes down to the whole secure attachment concept. And so the consistent caregiver is the one who provides that atmosphere of security so that the child can thrive and so that the child can experiment and play and try new things in therapy and push themselves. And, therapy can be hard sometimes. So you definitely want to find a therapist who shares your philosophy, who shares your values, someone whom there can be a back and forth conversation with. You can ask questions, and you personally also feel comfortable with your observations of how they are interacting with your child and how your child is receiving that input from the therapist. You as a parent also, you have to trust your instincts and your intuition as well. So that basically summarizes my approach to how we have been able to and been very fortunate in finding amazing therapists for my daughter. And what's interesting, what happens is once you find an amazing therapist, they will then introduce you to someone else, and then they'll introduce you to someone else. And it's sort of this really cool little network of people that you end up getting plugged into. And I think that's an amazing thing, to have that community support and to have like-minded individuals who have shared goals, shared values, and it's wonderful. So the long and the short of it, you've got your tactics and strategies and principles that you the hard things that you look for. But then for me personally, it's more so the soft qualities that really, for me, it's like a yes or no based off of the soft qualities. Same for finding medical healthcare providers, physicians for my daughter's team. I'm a very kind of like trust your instincts and intuition type of person. I'm sure many parents are, many mothers are. And so I just kind of go by that. But hopefully this was helpful in your quest for finding therapists for your child. And sometimes the list can be very long. We have such a great team who helps my daughter, from occupational therapists, speech therapists, aquatic therapists, hippo therapists, which is therapy on a horse, and physical therapists, our vision teacher, orientation and mobility. There's also recreational therapists, an amazing profession, and adaptive communication, feeding therapists. So the list goes on and on. And there are just amazing people out there who have dedicated their lives to helping children with disabilities or special needs, or helping children who are neurodivergent to learn differently. And it's just an amazing world that we are fortunate to be a part of. And so, for the new parent who is just starting out on their journey navigating this challenging life, I hope this video can provide some sort of support and guidance and let you know that it's not going to be as bad as it seems or as daunting as it seems. Thank you.